Okay, welcome back. In this screencast, we're going to dive into a little more basics about JavaScript, of how the concepts of variables, strings, and operators. Okay, now every programming language you need to have variables. Variables are locations where you can store values in your program or reuse the values that you can save and do something about it. Now, usually in most of the programming languages, whenever you are planning to write a variable, there is a strict format for doing that or declaring a variable. You first define the data type of the variable. It can be integer or string or character or boolean or any other data types that the programming language supports. And after that, you put the name of the variable. So it can be the name of the variable. And then you can just put a semicolon, so that means that's the end of the declaration, and then you can define it later on, or you can initialize it in the same location where you could put just one equal and then the initial value of that variable. Okay, initial value of that variable, and then you can put a semicolon. So this is a standard format that is usually used when you're declaring a variable. In JavaScript, we have a little difference. There is no data type in JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript is a weakly typed language, so it doesn't require you to input the type of a variable. It's automatically assigned. So for example, if I say in JavaScript a variable is declared by using a keyword called var. So whenever you say var, that means this declaration that is going to follow it is a variable. So we say var, and then I'm going to put the name of the variable. So let's put name over here. Then I'd say equal, and then I can use quotations to initialize it. So strings or text based values should be within quotations. So now, since the value that I'm assigning to this variable name is a string, this name variable is automatically assigned the data type called string. We may not see it, but it's there. So for example, if I say var, say let's say age, and I'm going to say 32. So this 32 actually means that this is the age. This is my age. Okay, but this one 32 is a number, so that means age is actually a number assigned automatically. So another one, if I say var something called as marital status, and when I'll say over here, I can say true. Now true is a boolean value, true or false. So that means this one is, okay, I should not say marital status, I'll say married. Okay, so married says true over here. That means that I'm married. So but the instance is this one is actually a boolean assigned automatically because of the value that is assigned to it. So based on the value, the data type is given. So it's not the data type is not declared, but is entirely assigned based on the value you give it to. Okay, so these are the different things that you can do over here. In JavaScript, you can have a string, you can have an integer or a floating point number, it doesn't matter, or you can have boolean values as well. Now, whenever you want to display something, display a variable, you can just put the variable name. Okay, so let's say of a document.write, say name. Okay, that's it. Let's go back to our browser, refresh it, you will see this is my name. Now suppose I want to write something like a sentence using these variables. Let's say my name is this, and I am this years old, and I am married. Well, like, let's say, okay, or my status is, my marital status is true, so that means married, something like that. So how do we do something like that? In Java, whenever you want to combine a variable or a variable with a existing string, or any two variables or any two strings, we use concatenation. Okay, so we use concatenation. This is called combining, or usually referred to as concatenation. Now, how do we do that? We use the symbol. I'm going to put it over here so that you remember. We use the symbol plus to do that. So over here, I'm going to say var. I'm not going to declare something. I'm just going to say document. document dot write, and then I'm going to say my name is, and then I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to concatenate it with the name, that is this variable, and then I'm going to say plus, and I'm going to say and I am, and then I have to again put two quotations, then plus, which is concatenating it, and then I have my age over here, age, then to open it again, years old, my marital status is, and then I can close it again, and then I can say married. Okay, so this should do it now. Let's view that in the browser and see how it goes like. Okay, see, since I'm going to use write-ln. Sometimes this works, but sometimes it doesn't work. Write-ln means it should go down, but it sometimes, I'm not sure why it doesn't work on some browsers. So let's do something. Let me teach you something. So suppose I want to put a break, but here I'm not able to put a break. So there's one way of doing that. You can add the HTML code for adding a new line character inside the brackets over here. Now what is that code? Which is BR. We learned this, that we can use BR to actually write next line. So you can write, also integrate your HTML code inside this document.write, so that it will be not shown as it is, but it will be parsed, and it will be shown. It will add a break into your page. So let's say I'm going to do that this way. So now it should say my name is Muhammad Misbahuddin and I'm 32 years old. My marital status is true. So you see that this is how we can concatenate these values. So whenever I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to add these two, so this happens. See, the plus operator is a little bit confusing over here. See, plus is used for concatenation. Suppose that I'm trying to add two numbers. So what will it do? Will it still be concatenation? No. In that case, let's say I have a variable. Say age add. I'm going to say 5 years. Okay. Now I want to say total equal to, I want to add these two, age and age add. So it will be age plus age add. So now what will be the total? What will be the total? Say document dot write. I'm going to say total. I'm going to display total over here. Let me just copy this break so that I can put it over here again. Let's save this and then go back to our main page and say refresh. It's 37. It added the 5 to this age and it gave me 37. Suppose one of them is a string. String means it is in quotations, right? Single or double, it doesn't matter. So we can use double as well, since I'm using double for the previous ones. Let's say I'm going to put 5 over here. I'm going to save this and then see what happens right now. See what happened? It didn't add them, it just concatenated them. See, it's 32 plus 5, but it's supposed to be added, but instead it concatenated them, giving me 325. So one thing you have to remember, that whenever in an operation one of them is a string and the other one of them is a number, it will still take the precedence that the string, it will take into consideration that both of them are actually strings. It will treat the other one, which is the integer, also as a string, and it will concatenate both the values. So plus is a different definition when it's used when both of them are either numbers, floats, or any other type. It will be addition. But once any one of them is a string, it will treat all of them as a string and do the concatenation operation. So this you have to remember. This is something that's really important. Okay, so that's about it. That's about variables. That's how we do. Variables are simple. We don't have data types over here, so we just use the keyword var, and then we put the name of the variable equal to, and then the value of the variable. And depending upon the value, the data type of this variable is changed. So if it's over here, the name is string, age is a number, and married is a Boolean variable. Now strings have a few interesting things in JavaScript. We're going to see some of them, but there are a lot more. So if you want to learn more about them, you can just go to this website. It's a very good website I showed you earlier as well, so devdocs.io, and inside devdocs you have JavaScript documentation. Inside JavaScript you have something for strings, and you have a list of all the operations that are supported by string. There are too many of them, and they're good ones. I mean, most of them are usable, and we use it to write many programs. Now in this case I'm going to show you a few of them right now to tell you how we do it. Let's say the first one I'm going to show you is a property called length. Now you see, most of the strings that we have over here have a property, have a length, like the length of the string. So how do we use that? So I want to say the length of the name string. Okay, so I'll say document.write, and I'm going to say name. So I'm going to say name dot length. Okay, so name dot length. This is a property. You see, if I put something like parenthesis at the end, that means this is a function. But if I don't put this, that means it's a property. We're going to see that later on when we study about objects in JavaScript. But for now, just think that this is a property. So I'm just going to put name dot length. Again, I need the breaking so that it doesn't mess up the output. Let's go back, and I'm going to refresh this again. So this is 20. So 20 is the length of my string. Okay. So that's the first function that is very popular. This function will be used like in cases of a for loop where I want to browse through the whole string. I can use name.length. We're going to see that in the next screencast. The other one, which is also very popular, is substring. Substring is actually, let's say, I'm going to say document.write. And in this case, I want to have just the first name that is Muhammad displayed. So it's a substring of this. Now substring has a function called substring. Now remember this one important thing, that a string starts from the index 0, just like in Java. That's the first one. M is at 0, O is at 1, H is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so the first one will start from, so substring is a function, that's why I'm putting parentheses, and it's accept parameters. There are two parameters in a substring: start and end. Okay, so what's the starting point? Suppose I want to start from the beginning, I have to put 0 as my starting point. End, let's say I'm going to put 7. It should be 8 so that it doesn't include this. But let's see how it goes like. Okay, I'm going to put a break again so that, let me just go back and refresh this. See, these missing. That's why it takes end -1, so it should be 8. Okay, so it stops at until 7. So 0 to within from 0 until 8, so it will not count 8. So it's like this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is 8, but it stops just before that. So this is just to make sure that you know that the operation will be something like this: substring starting point comma end +1, so that you have, whenever you have to stop at 7, you put 8 instead, not 7. Okay, so that's the substring operation. Now it should be okay. Now suppose I don't want to do this. Suppose I don't want to count the indexes start and end. Suppose there is one more function where it allows you to just say start and the number of digits you want. So for example, document dot write. In this case, I'm going to say name dot substring. See, this is just the difference of spelling. If you just say substring completely, then you have to follow this format. But if you say just substring, this way. I'm going to do this again over here. I'm going to add this, then I'm going to say sub str. In this case, the start remains the same, but the next parameter is the length, the number of characters you need after that. So over here in this case, let's see how many characters do we have for the first name. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's total 8 characters that I have. So I'm going to say start at 0 and take 8 total characters. That's different from this one. It's completely different from this one. So now I'm going to close this, just put the break again so that now it's nice, neat and clean, and then I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to refresh this, which will be the same. Okay, although it's not very clear right now, but you can also say something like, for example, if I want to take only the last name over here, this one would be starting from this. So this one, just now we saw that this is 8, so this one would be 9. So it starts from 9, so it's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 20. Okay, so 19 plus 1, which is 20, and this one will be 9. Okay, let's go back and see what happens. Say it gives me the last name. Now suppose I want to do it with this function, which is substr. I'll just say 9, and I'm going to count the total number of items. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there are 11 characters. So instead over here 8, 11, which will give me the same result. So this is the difference. Instead of putting n plus 1, I'm going to use length. But they do the same thing. They get you the substring from the main string. Let's take one more. There is one more which is called char at. It's very popular again when you use Java, when you learn about Java. The same thing. For example, I want to find out the character at, let's say, 12 index. So I'm going to say name dot char at, and I'm going to put, let's say, 10. Okay, to again put this break for my reference, and then I'm going to go back and then say, let's refresh this. It's I. So the character at this position, 10th position, is I. Okay, so these are 3 of them. As I told you, you have many more, and they are very good ones. So it's wise to go through all of them. Okay, we have some good ones as well. See, 2 uppercase and 2 lowercase to convert the case of your string. For example, if I want to convert the case of my string, say name.substring, and I want to have this in capital, there's one more function, say 2 lowercase, and it's a function, so you have to put something like this. Okay, so let's go back and see. It will turn everything into lowercase. And similarly, I can say 2 uppercase, and just say refresh. It will turn everything into uppercase. Okay, it's good for comparison. It's good for comparison to convert everything into a lowercase. For example, if you have a username in your website and the user can enter a capital or a small, it's not case sensitive. But in the database, it's comparing it in the database means you have to make sure that they are at the same case. But for the user, maybe he has his caps lock key on by mistake. So in that case, you have to make sure that you convert everything into the order that is accepted by the database, and then you can compare it. Otherwise, it will not be equal to that. It will be equal to what's inside the database. So these are like very good functions that you can use in your code. The last of the basics part in JavaScript is operators. In operators, JavaScript supports a number of operators. You can have addition operators, subtraction operators, multiplication, division, and modulus operators. It also supports increment and decrement operators. So, for example, for addition, it will be, as you just saw earlier, the +1, the same operators that we just saw previous to this one. Okay, so this one would be plus, minus, we also have the divide, and then we have the modulus, which will give us the remainder, and then we also have the increment and decrement operators. So these are the various operators that are supported by JavaScript. Okay, and again, if you want to increase the precedence, you can also use parentheses to make sure they have a higher precedence than the other ones. Okay, so these are some of the basic points that you need to know when you are working with JavaScript. In the next screencast, we're going to start with some more basics, which is conditionals and looping statements, which will give you an idea of how to use the code. Okay, that's it for now.